Guys, this is Coyote here. Someone asked me to explain template literals, so I'm going to do a really quick video about that. So I actually created a folder called temp, and it has an index file in it. It's right on my desktop. So I'm going to open that in a browser. That here. So there we go, and there's nothing in it. So let's get to work. First, I'm just going to create a paragraph to make sure this thing actually works. Let's see. Okay, it's connected. Good. So hello world, let's get started. So you're probably used to a string like this. So this is a string. This is very common, the double quotation marks, or you can have the single quotation mark. Doesn't really matter. But with string literals, it looks something like this. You use the backtick. The backtick works like this. This is a string. So there you go. So they're all the same thing. That's no difference. They'll all evaluate to the same thing. The benefit of using a template literal is that you can write multi-line strings. So you can do something like this. And this would work perfectly well. Now, this is not the major benefit of using template literals. So let's actually see how you can use template literals in like your actual code. So I'm just going to backspace this. Let's create a paragraph and let's give it a class. Actually, let's give it an ID of, doesn't matter whatever you call it, but I'm just going to call it theme, or let's just call it items. And just going to open a script tag over here. So you can write a simple string like, let's create a variable called like, and let's write a simple string like, I like apples and carrots. They are my favorites. Right, so really simple, nice and easy. And you can print that. Let's print that to the console. Let's say console.log like. Okay, inspect console. There we have it. I like apples and carrots. They are my favorites. So just a really simple string. Print out the variable and you're good to go, right? So what if we wanted to replace apples and carrots with variables? So let's create a variable over here and let's call it fruit. And call this apples. Let's create another variable, let's call it vegetable. Let's call this carrot. Okay, good. So I can replace this with the variable fruit and with the variable vegetable. But then I have to use the plus sign in order for the variables to evaluate. So I'd have to do something like this. So now let's look at it. Uh-oh, what's missing? We have this, I like that, plus that, no. There we go. So I like apples and carrots are my favorite. Obviously my spacing is off. Let's fix that real quick. What else? And we get everything right. Okay, there we go. So we have everything set over here. So as you can see, we're using a lot of plus signs and a lot of double quotations. It's very difficult to write something like this and it can be very confusing. As you saw, I made mistakes with my plus signs and all that. Let's just print this to the screen first. So do document get element by ID, and let's take this items over here, say, and then in an HTML, and so basically we're putting this variable into that using the get element by ID. So let's see how that looks on the screen. We have an error. 16. What's going on? Oh, there we go. I made a mistake over here. It's a T, get elements by ID. Okay, there we go. So I like apples and carrots. They're my favorites. Perfect. Now, let's change this to a template literal. So we can do, let me just copy this. Can change this to the backtick and change the last one here to the back. Then that doesn't solve everything. I'll go ahead and remove all of this. Okay, perfect. Let me comment this out. Okay. Now let's see what we have. So it goes back to fruits and vegetables. So we're going to do string interpolation. So I'll use the $sign and the curly brackets. So $sign, curly brackets. So this is how you select out the variables so that they'll be able to evaluate. So now I'm changing. So I like apples and carrots. They're my favorites. So I don't have to use the double quotation marks. Most importantly, I don't have to use the plus signs. I can just use the backticks and use the $sign and these curly brackets over here, and it will evaluate whatever it's in them. And it's not just variables. You can put in a function or anything. So for example, if I did something like $sign bracket 7 plus 8, it will evaluate what's in the brackets. So let's see. So I like apples and carrots. They're my favorite. It's 15 because they evaluated what's in here. So this, I would say, is the major benefit of using template literals as compared to using the double or single quotation marks and using the plus sign. Okay, I hope this helps.